Hey, what's up, Backflow Broskies? It's your boy, the Backflow Bro. Today we're going to go through the three hose, 5-valve test procedure for the ASSE 5000 2022. So it's the new test procedure. I'm not sure if you're super familiar with it. Taking a class with your local UA local. IATMO, they're a good company. I just finished a class with IATMO, so it's kind of like how I learned a lot of this stuff. PHCC, something like that. They're all over. Quite often you're going to see these Midwest kits, the 5-valve with the 3 hoses. If you're doing the single hose, we do actually have a 2-valve kit that you might want to check out. It's Kruger Instruments. The link will be in the description. Unfortunately, you can't do the 3-valve or the 3-hose ASSE test procedures with the 2-valve kit. It's like 3 or 5 only. If you're doing like the USC test procedures, you can. But if you're East Coast, you've never heard of USC probably. ASSE is mostly like, you know, Massachusetts, Jersey, New York a little bit. Pennsylvania is big. But if you're in like Philly or something like that, they actually require the 3 hose because a lot of times they don't want you to test the shutoffs and things like that. But we're going to go ahead and do the full procedure and fill out a test report. So it's kind of like basically what you're going to do on the exam. It's the thing that I just actually did on the exam like earlier today. So anyway, we'll just get started. First thing, you're not flushing test cocks or anything. Like you actually don't even pick up a screwdriver. Notify, identify, inspect, observe. Your proctor and instructor might tell you to say something a little different, like, you know, hey, my name is this, I'm here to do this or that. Notify, identify, inspect, observe is kind of like the standard of what you say. But you're basically supposed to notify the customer that you're shutting the shut off, you're shutting the water off, and you're testing the better and all that stuff. Whatever your instructor told you to do, you say that first. When you go ahead and start the procedure, you open test cock 4. This is an RPZ assembly. You have 4 test cocks, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you have 2 shutoffs, 1 and 2. Open 4, open and close 1, open and close 2. You might get a little wet. Open and close 3. It's not a perfect science. You will get a little wet sometimes. For your gauge, you have 5 valves. Close all of them. They shouldn't be open. A lot of times when you're doing the test, when you finish the test, they're open. When you store the kit, they're actually supposed to be all open, so you should have to close all of them. Attach high hose to 2, low hose to 3. High is usually red, low is blue. If you have like a super old kit, they might be different than that. I think they're like red, green, and black. You shouldn't run into that here. Today is 2024, so you shouldn't run into that. I feel like they switched it in like 2000s. But anyway, if you have the other colors, just keep in mind that the colors are different. All your gauge control valves are closed. For USC, you have to bleed stuff through. For ASSE, you don't. So you basically just open 2, pressurizes the kit. For your bleed off, it will come out of this little hose for Midwest. So you open and close your high bleed. Open 2, open and close your low bleed. You just want to bleed all the air out of the kit. This is your apparent reading. It's not the same reading that you're going to get though. Or it might not be. It depends on if things are leaking. Now you take your bypass hose, which is yellow, attach it to test cock 4. Unfortunately though, it's full of air. So you have to open high control, open vent control. That's going to pressurize it. Then you loosen your connection, bleed the air out, make sure there's a lot of water coming out. Close your vent, or close. So you loosen the connection to test cock 4, then you tighten it. Now you're ready to start the test. You're fully connected. At this point, you actually take your line pressure reading. It's jumping around a little bit, but it looks like about 37 for us. And your classic could be anywhere from like 0 to 80 or whatever it is. You want to just kind of make sure that it's pretty steady. It shouldn't be moving around too much. If you're testing in the field though, it could be moving around a little bit. You want to just kind of grab the number that it's mostly steady at. For us, it would be 35. So then you write that on your test report sheet, 35. Now you actually do your shut off 2 tightness. So you close shut off 2. Open and close your low bleed to reset the gauge. The gauges are descending scale only. So if you're doing a 2 hose, like where you have high and low hooked up, to get an accurate reading, you have to open low, let it go up, and drop it down. If it goes up, it's not accurate. So a lot of times you end up resetting the gauge a lot for the 3 hose test. So essentially you open and close low, close shut off 2. It doesn't matter where your gauge is. If you're doing a single hose test, you actually have to make sure it's level with things. For us, it actually doesn't matter because you have a high and a low hooked up. Now we're going to do the check valve 2 with back pressure. So you open test cock 4. If you don't see anything coming out of the relief valve and your reading is steady, it might go down a little bit if you notice it dropped like a pound. That's totally normal. It's called discompression. Don't worry about it. But if it keeps dropping down to like 3 and water starts coming out, that means you have a leaky check valve 2. So when you open 4, that means it's tight, or as far as check valve 2 is concerned. So for the 3 valve test or 3 hose test, you actually say check valve 2 is closing tight. And what they said at my Atmo is you just write back pressure. So whatever you want to do with that, but there's no actual reading. You don't put what's on the gauge, you just write back pressure. Now you do the shut off 2 tightness test. So you keep your gauge level with whatever you want. I'm reading 6.7 on the Midwest. You close test cock 2. If the pressure doesn't start dropping, so I'm still at 6.7, it's not dropping, that means your shut off 2 is tight. So you write shut off 2, closed tight. For the RP, it's a little different than the double check. You actually don't move the hoses over. You just do a back pressure test. A lot of the books that they write, they're starting to move over to that. If it passes back pressure, it should pass the differential pressure. Sometimes it might not, but if it holds back pressure, that's all you really need. So if it holds the back pressure, you just say it's done. Close tight back pressure. Now you have to do the check 1 differential test. So you close vent control, which is the bottom one. Open test cock 2. Hold your hose here to make sure you don't splash everybody. Open and close low bleed. You'll notice the number goes up. You close, the number goes down. That's an accurate reading for check valve 1. So 7.2 is what you write for check valve 1. Now we're gonna get, so shut off 1, you actually don't test. So you're supposed to either leave it blank or write NA, because obviously shut off 1 is open, so you're not getting the tightness. The test reports you're using for your class might reflect that. If you're doing the 1 hose class, but you're doing the 3 hose test, they might have a shut off 1 here. You're just supposed to write NA. Now we do the last test, the pressure differential relief valve. Your vent control is closed, so it doesn't really matter, but they say to take off your vent control, or make sure you touch before you do that. Now you're going to open your high, or it should already be open because you had high and vent open. So So you leave that open. Open your low control a quarter turn. The pressure drops. You put your hand below. 4.2 is your relief valve opening point. 4.3, 4.23, something like that. So then you close your low control. That's your relief valve opening point. 4.3. You actually can't do the open fully test, so you just say NA. Assembly test passed. For it to pass, you have to have check valve 1 has 5, check valve 2 against back pressure, and the pressure differential pressure relief valve. So now you're good to go. You finish the test, close all test cocks, move all equipment. ASSE test procedures say to restore to pre-test condition. If you showed up and the shutoff tool was closed, you leave it closed. The shutoff tool was open, you open it back up. For our case, it was open, so you open to the shutoff tool. Hope you enjoyed this video. Good luck on your exam, and thanks for tuning in. Please feel free to like and subscribe. Very